Australia, a nation often perceived as a beacon of peace and diplomacy, harbours a dark secret of purveyors of death and human rights abuse in the form of assisting genocide. Beneath the veneer of neutrality lies a troubling complicity in the ongoing conflict in Gaza. While not directly involved in the bombings, Australia plays a critical, albeit hidden, role in arming the rogue nation of Israel, the aggressor. This report will delve into the intricate web of Australia's involvement, exposing its contribution to the F-35 program and the devastating consequences of its actions. The echoes of bombs raining down on Gaza paint a grim picture, a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. Yet what remains largely hidden is the origin of the very weapons that perpetuate this cycle of violence. Australia, a key player in the global arms trade, finds itself deeply entangled in this narrative. Its hands are stained with the blood of innocents. What won't Australians do for money? Has it really come to this for the Australian character? Australians were once better than this. The Australian government, despite its claims of neutrality, has consistently supplied military components to Israel as parts. These components are being used to devastating effect in Gaza. Australia is a purveyor of death. This report will shed light on this uncomfortable truth, exploring the ethical and legal implications of Australia's actions and the urgent need for accountability. At the heart of Australia's complicity lie the F-35 fighter jets, a deadly marvel of modern military technology, deployed by the Israeli Air Force in its recent offensive on Gaza against defenseless Palestinians who have no army, artillery, aircraft, air force, and nor do they have a navy. It isn't a war in Gaza, as one side is unarmed. It's a genocide. It's why Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has an outstanding arrest warrant out for him from the UN International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity, namely for genocide. Why is Australia even dealing with Israel, which has a criminal leader? The F-35, while assembled elsewhere, contains critical components manufactured in Australia, a fact conveniently overlooked in official narratives. Deep within Australian factories, skilled engineers and technicians contribute to the production of these weapons of war. They go home at night to the comfort and security of their families, while children in Gaza are bombed with Australian weapons. This Australian trade by merchants of death has to stop. Components like uplock actuators for weapons bay doors, exclusively produced by Rosebank Engineering in Melbourne, located at 836 Mountain Highway, Bayswater, Melbourne. It also has facilities at Airport West, Amberley, Williamstown and Winfield. The Asdam Group in Australia owns Rosebank. Asdam is majority owned by CPE Capital. The group includes companies such as Marand, Levet, TE Aerospace and Ruag Australia, and operates across Australia and the United States. CPE Capital, based in Sydney, is run by CEO John Haddock and Managing Director Kevin Roach. They are unavailable for a comment on the role of their companies in the Gaza genocide. The irony is that the co-founder of CPE Capital is one Joseph Skoczynski, who is on the Australian Committee for Human Rights Watch. Go figure. What a contradiction. We ask, does he have any idea what his progenitor CPE Capital is funding at Rosebank Engineering? Skoczynski is a Polish Jew committed to multicultural and Jewish causes. We'll stop there on Skoczynski. You get the picture. The F-35's weapons adapters are solely manufactured by Ferra Engineering, based at 344 New Cleveland Road, Tingalpa in Queensland. It's owned by Accurus Aerospace Corporation, in which in turn is owned by Liberty Capital Partners, run by Rowan Taylor, who is the founding and managing partner of Liberty Capital Partners. Ferra specializes in the design, manufacture, assembly, integration and sustainment complex systems for strategic platforms such as the Apache helicopters that were involved in the October 7th Hannibal Directive. The Israelis blamed Palestinian resistance groups for all the deaths that took place on October 7, even after Israel admitted they invoked the Hannibal Directive and killed many of their own. The directive is to kill your own people, rather than let them be taken hostage and forced to negotiate for their return. Eyewitness testimony from the likes of Yasmin Pard and Colonel Neferez, who discussed invoking the Hannibal Directive, pointed to Brigadier General Barak Hiram as the culprit who invoked the directive that killed most of the Jews on October 7. The Western media didn't tell you this. Instead, they screamed about 40 babies in ovens, which even the Israeli media had to admit was a lie. It wasn't Hamas who did the killing. Most of the approximate 1,200 people allegedly killed on October 7 were killed with weapons FERA helped manufacture. Liberty Hall Capital Partners, a private equity firm specializing in aerospace and defense investments, acquired FERA Holdings Limited through its portfolio company, Accurus Aerospace Corporation. Key components are shipped from Australian shores to be integrated into the F-35 killing machines, Apache helicopters and other instruments of death which inflicting misery on people who can't defend themselves on equal terms. These seemingly innocuous parts, once assembled, transform the F-35s into a formidable killing machine, capable of delivering devastating payloads with pinpoint accuracy. Every Australian-made component, therefore, plays a direct role in facilitating the destruction unleashed upon Gaza, making Australia a silent accomplice in the unfolding tragedy. The use of F-35s in the recent Gaza offensive is not a matter of speculation but a confirmed reality. The Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff, in a rare admission, acknowledged the deployment of these advanced fighter jets in Gaza. He confirmed their use in close air support missions, dropping 900-kilogram JDAM bombs, weapons capable of leveling entire buildings and causing widespread devastation. While the Australian government maintains a carefully crafted silence on the matter, the evidence speaks for itself. The roar of F-35s over Gaza, captured in numerous eyewitness accounts and videos, serves as a chilling testament to Australia's complicity in the carnage. The Australian government can no longer hide behind a veil of plausible deniability. Indeed, it should immediately break off diplomatic relations with Israel. It's an aggressor in the region committed horrendous, unforgivable atrocities. The evidence is overwhelming, and the world is watching the rogue state of Israel committing genocide with impunity under the diplomatic protection, arming and financing by the United States. The Jewish Israel lobby that has captured the US Congress has much to answer for, as do the shameless politicians that take Jewish money and hold their noses while voting to support and fund Israel to commit crimes against humanity. The question remains: will Australia continue to fuel the flames of conflict in Gaza, or finally take a stand for peace and justice? We're not holding our breath, as Australian Jews are doing everything they can to capture Australia's foreign policy, including firebombing a Jewish synagogue and spraying anti-Jewish graffiti while wringing their hands about anti-Semitism, which is the Jewish brand word they hurl like feces at anyone who criticizes Jews or Israel. When hear claims of anti-Semitism, know you're over the target. And in Melbourne, there's a warehouse that has become the centre of heated debate. People pass it, knowing Palestinian child-killing machinery is produced inside. This unassuming building, often overlooked by more hapless passers-by, holds within its walls stories that have sparked intense discussions by the informed. From the outside, it appears to be just another industrial structure, but inside, it is a different world entirely, where death and destruction reside in Melbourne untouched by war. Here, the past and present collide, bringing forth questions that challenge our understanding of history and ethics. As we delve deeper, we uncover layers of complexity that reveal much about our society and its values. We ask what damage is done to the rules-based order and moral fabric of the world by Israel. So, what is it about this warehouse that has everyone talking? Australia's involvement in the bombing of Gaza has been shrouded in a deafening silence. The media are cheerleaders. We know they're bought and paid for. They're damaging themselves as fewer and fewer people trust mainstream journalists, paid commentators and teleprompter talking heads. We know they're no more than peddlers of propaganda. Despite mounting evidence and international outcry, there has been a staggering lack of accountability. Government officials remain tight-lipped, and any attempts at transparency are swiftly quashed, particularly by the seemingly myriad of Jewish groups that each have no more members than a netball team. Jews do it on purpose to amplify their presence by creating groups. There is barely 120,000 Jews in all Australia. It's a noisy minority that gets more political and media attention than they deserve. They do it with payoffs, bribes, blackmail, and their notorious influence peddling. Australians have had enough of them, and Muslims particularly so. They're sick of being whipping boys for Jews, claiming they're under threat from Muslims when the Jews are the real menace. The Jew always cries out in pain as he strikes you. The political silence speaks volumes, raising questions about the true extent of Australia's complicity. Politicians fear the ire of bullying Jews. Maybe Muslims need to be more vocal. There are over 10 times more of them than Jews in Australia. Australia's arms trade is a despicable, booming industry with billions of dollars of blood money at stake. The country has become one of the world's leading arms exporters, supplying weapons to various conflict zones, including Gaza. The dirty profits from these deals are substantial, but they come at a grave human cost. The ethical implications of profiting from war and suffering are profound, yet often overlooked in the pursuit of economic gain, while CEOs and corporate chiefs get awarded gongs for being great Australians. It's sickening. In recent years, there have been concerted efforts to challenge Australia's complicity through legal channels. Activists and human rights lawyers are tirelessly working to bring these issues to court, seeking justice for the victims of the bombings. These legal battles are arduous and fraught with obstacles, but they represent a crucial step towards accountability and change. Confronting Australia's role in the carnage of Gaza is a complex and painful process. It requires a willingness to face uncomfortable truths and to demand better from our leaders. The pressure needs to be stepped up, or Australian Jewish malcontents and mischief makers will win, getting the ears of politicians. As citizens, we have a moral obligation to hold our government accountable and to advocate for policies that prioritize human rights and peace over profit and power. Only through collective action can we hope to make a difference and prevent further atrocities. At the very least, Australia should remain neutral and not assist Israel or its allies, which for a long time was Australian policy.
On page 125 in your discussion of international affairs, you have a reference to Australia's role in the Security Council of the United Nations during the 1973 Middle East War.
Yeah.
And you say there that Sir Lawrence McIntyre was president of the Security Council when the war broke out, and you say that political pressure and even blackmail was brought to bear on you and your government. But despite that, you gave him every support. What was the blackmail? How was it exercised, and who was responsible for it?
The blackmail was exercised by some heroes in the Australian Jewish community on the other side of the world from the hostilities, that we should support Israel in the dispute between Israel and its neighbours. And of course, my government at least pursued the expressed policy of all Australian governments to be neutral in those disputes and to take all steps available to Australia in resolving those disputes. And it would have been an appalling thing for us to come down on the side of, on one side, at the time that an Australian was in the key position of President of the Security Council. Now, if I may enlarge on this, since then, people in Australia should realise that there are now as many Arabs as Jews in Australia. There are as many Muslims as Jews. And we want everybody in Australia, of whatever racial origin, of whatever religious persuasion, to live in harmony and fruitful cooperation in this country of their adoption or their birth. And we